That Wise Guys gear is spiffy, but make sure you go to ingaming.com and you use the coupon code the Wise Guys TCG10. It's too swaggy, man. What's going on, guys? It's Greg Farley from the Wise Guys, aka Pegasus. It's your boy, man. We gotta break down some more cards. We're here today to talk about Battles of Legend once again. I think Heroes Revenge is gonna be a little bit better than I said the other day, but I still think I think this is gonna be a buy a single type of set. But in getting into the cards specifically, we're going to talk about two cards today instead of one. We have to talk about Frame Lord Lambda, and we have to talk about number 60, Dougaless of Forgotten Time. Now, first up, we got to talk about Frame Lord Lambda. Lambda is going to definitely revolutionize the game. I think even more so than Silent Great Almirage. I think they're going to kind of be one and two. The thing about the game right now is the Frame Gear Gamma is such a powerful card, and it's a really popular card because there's no real answer for it besides another Gamma or an Ash Blossom, but then you're going to have to deal with it again because it can activate again. I do think the ability to activate Frames from your hand with a monster on the field changes everything about the way we look at Yu-Gi-Oh! I can remember years ago when Frame actually came out, the deck drove me nuts because I had one of my closest friends, shout out to my homeboy Brandon Howard, aka Joey Wheeler. He plays the deck and he plays it very, very well. I think it's an awesome, awesome deck, but it also kind of fell out of favor because, Synchros kind of fell out of the loop. Then you got Omega got limited to one because of all the zombie nonsense and the Dark Synchro nonsense that came out. But the deck is still the deck. And I do feel like Frame Lord Lambda is going to help the deck come back, at least to being a rogue deck that people actually have to worry about. Frames definitely takes a lot of skill, but that's not the only thing that's going to make it the biggest issue. The biggest issue is he only takes two monsters, period. So that means you may see some wild stuff like dangers being mixed in with Frames, anything that can make two monsters, a Sky Blaster, I could go on and on and on. Anything that can make a monster immediately off of itself makes it a pretty powerful card. Let's say, using an Oleon, and linking them off into Almirage and then making another card off of that. Or anything that I said the other day, normal summon Sangin and then special and Ouroboros off of linking it away. There's just so many options to be able to create two monsters that are generic, and I don't know why they made this card generic, that it's going to take Frames to a whole new level. That's enough of me rambling about this card. I think the number one thing that you do have to worry about, though, is that one of the most powerful archetypes in the game is Mech Knights, because it's not quite powerful enough to get banned, but it's definitely very, very powerful. And I feel like Purple Nightfall is one of the most underrated cards in the game because of what he does to accrue advantage and keep a persistent foot on your opponent's throat. So I definitely feel like the ability to trigger an effect of Lambda off of a psychic monster's effect being his second part of his effect. It's an insane, insane, insane card. And I feel like Almirage and this card are going to impact the game so heavily, in fact, that I feel like eventually something's going to have to change. They're going to have some kind of answer for the two. Now, getting into the second part of this, we got to talk about number 60, Dougaless of Forgotten Time. Hope I'm saying his name right. I do feel like the card is insane, but it's a little bit of an interesting card. It takes two level 4 monsters. You can detach two materials from this card and then activate one of these effects. You can skip your next draw phase and draw 2 cards, then discard one, which is insane. Special summon one monster from your graveyard in defense position, but then you have to skip your next main phase 1, which is kind of strange, but I feel like that's the most powerful one, even though all three of them are nuts. And the last one says double the current attack of one face-up monster you control, which we kind of already have cards like that, but it may come up. And you have to do that until the end of this turn, and then you have to skip the battle phase of your next turn. I feel like all three of these effects, if used in conjunction at the right time with the right effects, they're going to end the game anyway. So he becomes a very, very powerful card that is an OTK enabler. I also think he's going to be an FTK enabler, and it's going to be a problem. And he's also going to help Dangers get even better because he draw 2 cards and then discard a card, but then skip your next draw phase. I feel like the number one thing that's going to mix well with is any of those danger turbo decks that try to turbo out into a certain effect or a certain end all be all of the deck and what it wants to do. I think Danger World would be one example of that, and I could go on and on with different examples. But Dark Worlds, Dark Lore as hell. You never know. But I do feel like this card is very, very powerful. Not going to be quite as impactful as the other two that I've listed already, but I do feel like this is a card you have to pay attention to. Not to mention the badass artwork. He's a fiend and he's a fire as well. So make of that what you will. I do think the second effect, and touching on that again, being able to special a monster in defense position and then only you lose your main phase, I feel like that's a really powerful effect. Anyway, those are the two cards of the day. We're still getting close to Heroes Revenge. I think we got about another week. Shout out to everybody. I'm actually recording this on the 4th of July. Hopefully you're not hearing the fireworks go off in the background from my neighbors. But everybody enjoy your Independence Day. Make sure you stay tuned. And as always, YG baby.